Good morning, Boquete. Good morning, David. Good morning, Cherokee. Good morning to Valerie and in Boquete, and David, rather. So anyway, you're listening to Boquete Now, talk radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM. Also streaming live on the Radio Cherokee website, on the YouTube channel, and Radio Garden, and all those other cool little radio apps. My guest today is Marc Rosen. Marc owns the Mort's Bakery. Well, no, he shook his head. He don't
own it.
He doesn't own it.
I just help out.
He just helps out there. Well, you learn. I was today years old when I knew that. When I learned that, I thought you owned that place.
The rabbi does.
The rabbi does. Yeah, but see, I call you rabbi. So you know.
He's the real deal.
He's the Okay. All right. Well, either way. I just had a wonderful breakfast. Marc brought us some food, and it was everything bagel with cream cheese and lox and onions, and what else was in there?
That's it.
Oh man, that was wonderful. That was just wonderful. I love that. You know, you can't find that here anywhere else, really. You know, and that was my standard go-to either breakfast or lunch when I was living in New York City. I lived in a building that. On the bottom floor was commercial space, and there was a there's a Jewish deli down there, and man, gee, every day, you know. And I was with my ex-wife. She goes, "Don't you ever get tired of eating the same thing every day?" I'm like, "No."
It's addictive.
Why? Why would you? How could you get tired of bagels and lox? It's impossible. But anyway, I wasn't going to mention this, but you know, Marc asked me, "Are you going to mention this?" So I think I'm going to mention this. We're having a little bit of a power issue here. The electricity on Volcan Baru is not functioning at the moment. So probably if you're in David, you're listening to this show live, or if you're on the website, or if you're on one of the radio apps. But if you're here in Boquete, you're probably wondering, where's the show? I don't hear anything. But it will be put up on the Boquete Now YouTube channel in a couple of days. So I will share that on my Facebook pages and the Boquete Facebook pages and blah, 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 blah. But things being as they are, and this is Panama, we're going to go ahead with the show, right? So how you doing, Marc?
Well, most people that know you and me both probably are going, I wonder what those two did today.
I know, right? What did they do? That's okay, though, you know. That's okay. They can do that. They can do that because half the times it's probably true. Yeah. What are you going to do, right?
Well, today I'm actually wearing two hats today.
Yes.
The first half I wanted to talk about Morton's Bakehouse.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's getting so well known that there's some good history behind it.
And yes.
People are always asking. So we wanted to discuss that, and then the second half, I'll be representing ACCB.
Yes,
which comes on your show a lot.
Yes,
to just give everybody updates on what's happening.
Sure, and then we got duck race coming, and there's a few other things down the pike, such as it is. So, you know, when I got here, when we moved here a few years ago, someone I'd been asking, hey, you know, where can I get a decent bagel and some fresh bread, and they told me of Mort's Bakehouse. This is where you were in the original location. And, you know, I've been a customer ever since. I'm in there probably once a week just to get something, even if it's just a flyby to grab a cookie or something. You know, I go in there to get something. And, yeah, a lot of people might not be familiar about the history of the bakery. So yeah, regale us.
There was a gentleman named Morton. I was surprised.
Uh-huh.
And he was known as the Rye Guy.
The Rye Guy.
And anybody that's lived here for more than probably 5-6 years knew of him. And he used to bake out of his house.
Ah.
And everybody kept telling him that you should open up a bakery. Well, he and his wife, Barbara, opened up a little tiny spot next to the garden.
Right.
In San Francisco Plaza.
That's the original, the old place, right?
The original place.
Yeah.
Where there was no dining inside because it was 100 degrees in there and from the ovens, and just a really small little place, and no tables outside, and it was mostly to go. And then what happened, unfortunately, it was that Mort passed away.
Yeah.
And Barbara was very instrumental in getting a Jewish cemetery in the city cemetery.
Oh, okay.
So inside the city cemetery, in the far back end, they purchased a section.
Okay.
That'll hold approximately 20 people, and it's all the bushes built around it, fenced and gated. Whatever
Sure,
they
yeah.
had to do to make it a kosher
Right.
cemetery. And to this day, Mort is still the only one buried there,
Oh.
which is good news.
Well, yeah, obviously, you know.
Yeah. And I'm going to refer back to it in a minute because we have 17 yeshiva boys here. Yeshiva is a school. They're from New York.
Okay, yeah.
That they study to become rabbis.
Okay.
And they're here. And Sunday, we're going to do a blessings at the cemetery, which makes it a totally kosher cemetery. And in order to do it, you had to have 10 men. And they all had to be fasting. They had to be religious. And we have them here right now. So,
Right.
we're taking advantage of them here. So Barbara and Mort opened up the bakery. Then when Mort passed, Barbara didn't really want to run it anymore. It was Mort's love.
Yeah.
And she tried to make an arrangement with a young man who's a Panamanian.
Right.
He ran it for a while and just couldn't make it. So then he and the rabbi, Barbara and the rabbi, have been friends from day one here. And the rabbi had a wish.
Right.
The rabbi and his wife Hannah, go back a little bit, are emissaries of the Chabad movement.
Okay.
So as emissaries, which are all over the world now, they go to areas where there's not a huge Jewish population, and they try to allow the people that want to have the religion have it and have the services, so on and so forth.
Right. Right. Well,
So-
what is Chabad? If you would just a brief.
Chabad really, they've been around for a long, long time, but Rabbi Schneerson, who was died in 1990 something, in the 50s, he started the movement that in New York, that if your mother was Jewish, you were Jewish, period.
Right.
And you didn't have to, it didn't matter if you were religious, not religious,
Right.
you were a Jew, you were a Jew. And they would drive down the street, and it's called a mitzvah tank. A mitzvah is a good deed, and it's like a bookmobile.
Sure.
And they would ask you if you were Jewish, and if you said yes, they would ask you if you'd like to wrap the tefillin around your arms, which we do every morning. If you were a woman, they'd give you Sabbath candles, just to try to get you started.
Sure.
And his goal was to accept Jews no matter what level of religious they were,
sure.
to get back into Judaism. So that's how it started. So they have these emissaries that go all over the world in little places like Boquete. So the Rabbi and Hannah, their family are from Panama City. The Rabbi's originally from Venezuela.
Oh, wow.
And Hannah's from Brazil. And but the Rabbi's family now lives in Panama City, and they said, okay, we'll go to this little dinky town called Boquete. And there is approximately 100 Jewish people in all of Cherokee.
Wow.
So it's
Not a big group.
Not big.
Not a big group at all.
And of the 100, most of them aren't participating or practicing.
Right.
That's why they moved there, a lot of them. So they came here, and so the rabbi got with Barbara and said, okay, I'll buy the bakery, but I'm buying it for a different reason than making money.
Sure.
I'm buying it so the people that come here to Boquete have a place to sit and pray. They have a place to eat. So before the bakery, if you were coming and bringing a family from Panama City, and we have so many people, Jewish people from Panama City come here. It's like
Sure.
their vacation place.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So they would have to bring coolers of food in their car, sit in a hotel room and eat in the hotel room,
Right.
because there's no kosher place to eat.
Yeah.
So they would have to bring everything, sit in the hotel room. That's not a lot of fun.
No.
So the rabbi said, I don't care if we don't make 10 cents, if it pays for itself, and the Jewish people have a place to eat, and
Right.
a place to go sit and have coffee, and a place to meet,
Sure.
and a place to pray, I'm in. Well, that was 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago when I got here. And so the rabbi made it a 100% kosher parve bakery. So in other words, there's no milk products, no meat products. They used to serve corned beef sandwiches on Thursday. That's
gone.
That's gone. So everything that
Excuse
they eat is strictly by the rules and it's kosher. And making it kosher was really a fun night. I was involved with that. They brought out blow torches to clean the ovens.
Wow.
And we took every utensil, every pot and pan, everything to the ocean, and dipped them and said blessings and hosed down the floors. I thought it was like Noah's Ark, the flood. But it was really a fun thing to be involved with. So the place then became kosher.
Yeah.
As it went on and on and on, the product is so good. We have some of the original people that learned from Mort, or they learned from the people that Mort trained. So the product that they put out, we think is the best there is. Now, in Panama City, for example, there's some kosher bakeries, kosher restaurants. We ship twice a week to Panama City.
So you supplying them?
Yeah. So the people have found that our product is just the best. We ship all over Panama now. We ship to Bocas. We ship to Panama City. We ship to Coronado. We ship to the beach, different houses on the beach. We ship to Volcan. We ship everywhere.
Wow.
It's become quite a large part of the business. Yeah. Then the corner building came available. What used to be the church.
Right. Yeah.
Now all of a sudden we have ventilation on 3 sides.
Bathrooms?
We have bathrooms.
But you don't have to walk through the kitchen.
Through the kitchen, that's right. And
they're clean bathrooms, by the way.
And we actually just brought in more tables. We can actually seat about 25 to 30 people now, dining all at once. So it took off.
Yeah.
Just really, the Rabbi and Hannah have done such a good job with the catering of the meals for the people that come here, and so the bakery also does catering for events, and sometimes the families could be 20 people. Yeah. So there's so much involved. So the bakery just took off. Yeah. So the Rabbi has been trying to connect the bakery with the Chabad house, the synagogue, from day one. He wanted them to be together. Sure. Well, the Chabad house was in Fundadoras, Hotel Fundadoras. Yeah, yeah. It's closed now.
Yeah, that's been closed for a little while now.
So the Rabbi purchased a new house. It's across the street from Isla Verde. It's that big blue house, and it's got like a huge yard. They knocked out a kitchen wall and extended the kitchen 15, 20 feet, built a whole new kitchen on the side of the house. 2 weeks ago, we had 40 people in the dining room for dinner comfortably. Wow! So we moved the ark to the Rabbi's living room. So there's now a section of the house is like the synagogue. Right. And we're using it all as one. Eventually, he wants to build a small synagogue next to the house, and then there's room on the property. But this vision of him coming here 4 years ago with nobody here has just gone crazy. So this week, or it started last week actually, and I got to tell you, I'm 71, and this last week, I just had my birthday.
Happy birthday.
So, thank you. So this was the best week that I have spent myself in years. Wow. Because there are 17, young men here, ages 18 to 20. One's from Australia, one's from Morocco, several are from New York, some are from Miami, and they go to 2 different yeshivas in New York. Again, the yeshiva is the school they study. These kids, they look like half of them could be football jocks, half of them could be music stars. The one dresses like the Blues Brothers. I mean, they look like totally normal kids, except their day is not a normal day. Right. And I basically have been at the Rabbi's house for a week, except going home to sleep. Sure. Yeah. Just because I enjoy it. And so here's what the enjoyment part is. And I'm going to give you a schedule for one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock to start praying. All right. So their prayers have to last an hour and a half. So what they do is they get in groups of 2 or 3. And they study together, and they teach each other, and it's different 2 or 3 every day. And they sit there and they read in Hebrew, and they read in Yiddish, and they translate to English, and they discuss all the different commentaries, what's written from the Torah. So that takes 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. Then they have the morning services. Then they'll eat some breakfast. Then we've planned some kind of an excursion almost every day.
Cool.
They've gone hiking, they've gone horseback riding. They went to a dairy farm, milked some cows, and then that night made cheese and milk from the cows.
Excuse me.
They had a woodworking class. Then in the afternoon at 6 o'clock they start. Oh, I'm sorry. At 5 o'clock they start studying again. And at 6 o'clock they have the afternoon service, and they study again, the 2-on-2 whatever, until 9, and at 9 o'clock they have the evening service, and then they study for a little bit, and then they go
to sleep.
home. But meantime, they're outside in the backyard, MMA fighting. One of the and I go, where did you learn that? And he said one of the rabbis at one of the yeshivas teaches it. So they're your everyday kids, but they've given themselves to the commitment of being religious.
Sure.
It's hard to do in today's world.
Well, it's very hard to do.
Yeah.
In any particular, it is. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, and it sounds like these kids, these young men, have a high degree of dedication.
Every one of these kids, and what's special about these two yeshivas is that they don't come from families that their father was a rabbi, their grandfather was a rabbi. They've been taught this their whole life. They come from different backgrounds.
Right.
One told me that 2.5 years ago he couldn't read Hebrew, so he went to Israel to learn the language.
Yeah.
These kids, with all the praying they do and everything else, they don't even need a book.
Yeah.
I sit there, I'm amazed to watch them. I can't remember from tonight till tomorrow. And
why am I in the kitchen?
Yeah, and these kids are doing all these prayers from memory, and they're the most respectful kids in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
And the commitment level again is just, it's so beyond what. That's why I think what I envy the most is anybody that, and it doesn't have to be religion.
Yeah.
Anybody that has commitment to whatever they're committed to.
Sure.
To this level.
Yeah.
At this age.
Yeah. Well, especially at this age.
It's
I mean,
phenomenal.
You hear a lot about. There's a lot of commentary out there about millennials and generation this and generation that, and they're not the same. Or when I was a kid, I walked uphill. All that stuff.
Yeah.
And when you hear about in any aspect of life, young people having a level of commitment to anything it's not very common, especially something as complicated as religious studies, which, as you know, can be very, very complicated. So that's nice. It's refreshing to hear that.
And so they're laughing because they say the looks that they get walking down the street with we call them tzitzits, hanging out. It's the undergarment with the tassels at the ends. So the each tassel, and he tried to explain it to me 4 times last night, one of the kids, and I said, well, I'm going to do this in the simplified because I'll never remember these numbers. But each tassel has so many knots and so many strands and so many of this and that it equals, when they're wearing this prayer shawl, and they wear it all the time. Yeah. So it's an undergarment. They wear it 24/7. The garment represents the number 613. Well, there's 613 commandments.
Yes.
So when you're wearing this, you're reminded all day long of the 613 commandments, and that's one of the reasons that they wear it. Now, when they walk down the street, the tzitzits are hanging out. They got the black hat. Mm-hmm. They just wanted me to let everybody know that they're not invading the city. The aliens have not landed. And they laugh at themselves with it, which is good.
Yeah.
And they understand that they do look a little different when they're walking down the street.
Yeah.
And they're not fanatics.
Yeah.
They're just really into observant and learning. Yeah. The learning is amazing. So one kid handed me this thing. He said, "Mark, can you read this? It's one of the things they agree on. It's called the Noahide laws. It's the 7 laws.
Sure, yeah.
And it's believe in God, honor God, preserve human life, respect family relationships, respect others' property, respect God's create creatures, and establish honest courts." And that's the 7 basic laws that God gave to Noah. And these kids live it.
Now, how long do they? Is there obviously, I know that there's never an end to studying. But is there a start point and a finish point to their training to where they go on to the next level of something, or is that something that is part of the process?
Well, I'll answer it kind of maybe this way. Rabbi Yaakov, who's the head rabbi here now,
Mm-hmm.
he just received his total rabbinical seal or whatever
Yeah.
6 months ago,
Okay.
4 or 5 months ago. He had a couple of things. Sabbath was one that he still had to qualify for, whatever. And you won't find him without a book in his hand, ever.
Okay.
So when they're praying, he's praying one thing, and he's reading something else to teach the kids when they're reading. It's the most amazing thing you've seen.
Yeah.
He's so well learned, and these kids will be the same way. So they go to the yeshiva for 3-4 years, and then they either become rabbis, or a lot of them go out into the regular world and become what they become. But they honor the Sabbath. They keep the kosher laws. They live their life accordingly.
Yeah.
They're still old school, that they want to go. A lot of them want to go to Israel to find a wife. You know, and it's a set up situation.
Sure.
I mean, they have a say so in it, but it's
it's
still
it's
the
pretty
matchmaking.
much,
It's old school.
Yeah.
And you know, if our country, and that's the things I kind of think about it, and I do not get involved in religious or political discussions. I just don't. But if the country was made up of more of these kind of kids, we'd have a heck of a lot less problems.
Well, yeah, and that kind of transcends religion. It's just a matter of being respectful, and it's a matter of being in tune with your community, and doing random acts of kindness, and things that will edify where you live, and that seems to be a lost art. What can I do for my community? Trying to get volunteers, 30, 40 years ago was just you put an ad in the paper, right? We need volunteers for this project, and 200 people show up. Now it's like pulling teeth, trying to get people. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a very generous community, probably the most generous community I've ever lived in.
I agree.
But there are still shortfalls in that area, and I think that's got a lot to do with how younger people are raised, and the influence probably of social media. That's just where we are right now.
That's right.
And it would be nice to see some sort of a turnaround in that area worldwide. Really, and I think if these young men are going to contribute to that in their way, that's pretty much a positive. Right. It's not a negative thing, and I don't know how big the Jewish community here. I'm not Jewish myself. I don't know how big the Jewish community here is in Boquete, but I know Mort stays busy.
Yeah, and the Jewish community is very small.
Yeah.
The active Jewish community.
The active Jewish community.
There might be 10 to 15 of us that we go to the rabbi's house for Friday night dinners, and we get involved in the different services. There's not a lot, but we get a lot of Panamanians from Panama City. But one of the things that the rabbi and I were talking about, you're always talking about when's the Messiah coming and miracles and all that stuff. Well, we have a little miracle here. He took a bakery that started in a garage someplace, and he made it famous in all of Panama.
Yeah.
And he moved to a place where there were no Jews, per se.
Yeah.
And this weekend, we had 18 religious scholars, even though they're young men, in Boquete, who had a chance to go wherever they wanted to go. It's a summer camp. There's lots of summer camps in a lot of different places. And they chose Boquete and tried to, they went to today they're on some agricultural farm. The other day they did an organic farm.
Yeah. That
they're taking part in this community to learn about the community and to be part of the community, and in the meantime keep their faith and do what they're doing.
Sure.
And I looked at Yaakov and I said, look what you've done. You came here, there was nobody, and now you got 40 people sitting at your dinner table Friday night, and 18 of them are priests. So they're the Kohanes, we call them, which were the high priests of the day.
Yeah.
And it's genetic. It comes down by family.
Right.
Your father has to be your grandfather.
Sure, yeah.
Of the 17, 7 of them are Kohanes.
Wow.
And on a given Saturday in the synagogue, you're looking for one because they're supposed to get the first honor. Sometimes in a whole congregation you can't find one. So we have 7 of the 17 are. You got 17 religious kids that picked Boquete to come to. It's created by a man and his wife with a vision to come here and do what he can do. I mean, I'm prejudiced, but I'm so proud of him. I mean, him and his wife are 35, 36 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
wow.
youngsters.
Kids.
Yeah, they're kids. And what they have done with their vision is just,
wow.
It's just amazing.
Now, yeah, I didn't realize that they were. God, I have kids that age. You know, that's quite an accomplishment. You know,
and he incorporated the bakery with the Chabad house with everything. And that was his dream, and they're doing okay. I mean, it's his goal wasn't to make money, but good news is they are making money.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that,
right? Like I was in Boquete about 2 months ago.
Yeah,
and I was at a restaurant on the beach, and I said, the guy said, I come to Boquete with my wife to go to David, and we go to Sugar and Spice.
Yeah,
and I said, that's great. I said, I go to Sugar and Spice too. I said, but you should stop by our bakery and get it. And so the next morning we went there again for breakfast, and we were leaving, and I said, he was cooking, and I said, well, hopefully we'll see you at Morton's. 2 girls were there eating that I don't even know, right? And they looked at him, and she goes, whoa, you're going to have Morton's breads here? We'll come back every day. And I just looked at him and smiled and said, rest my case.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, you know, it's fun. I know that you want to get to some of the stuff, but this is fascinating to me is that, you know, there's a I don't even want to say a belief. There's I can't even think of the word, but people who have a misconception of kosher food. They think it's tasteless and bland. And I was one of those people. I had married into a Jewish family many, many years ago, and my late daughter is Jewish. Well, was Jewish, I guess still is, because her mother was, and you know, mother was, and I got invited to my first Jewish festival meal. I think it was a Sukkot or something like that, and I was like, oh man, I'm eating pizza, waffles, and all that. So I went in there with a prejudicial mind, thinking the food's gonna suck, right? And it didn't, and I enjoyed it, and I got to where I was looking forward because her mother, who I did not like at all, was a very good cook. She was a traditional Jewish cook. And, you know, I tell people, you know, I actually like gefilte fish. They're like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, but the way she used to make it, you know, and the brisket and everything. And I got to looking forward to that. And when people would tell me there's a bakery, a Jewish bakery in town, and this is when you guys just went kosher. And I went, and I was like, well, what is the cream cheese going to taste like? Right, because you can't use milk, right? And I said, well, what is this going to taste like? Are they going to have? Well, they have to have lox because I've never been to a kosher baker, a deli that didn't have lox, so that must fit in there as okay. And the first time I had what we had today, I could not tell the difference between the cream cheese and the Philadelphia cream cheese. So you know, if you've never been over to Morton's, shame on you. Okay, sorry, I was just going to say it. Don't think that just, you know, don't let that stop you from going, because the food, all the baked goods, the chocolate cookies, I don't know how you make all that.
The chocolate chip cookies, people they just come in for that.
And I told you before the show, sometimes I'm just cruising through and I don't have time to stop to eat. I'll run in there, I'll get a couple of cookies. Yeah. You know,
amazing.
The food there is just absolutely just unparalleled. So, you know, you all need to go to Morton's, the world famous Morton's Bakehouse.
And one thing that we don't really push it, but just want to let everybody know too, we sell the cakes in the whole cake. And the reason it's even on my mind is the girls made me one for my birthday, and it was a carrot cake with almonds and stuff that it lasted on the table with these 17 boys. It lasted about 2 minutes. Yeah. But it was
17. It would last 2 minutes on my table with me.
Yeah, and we make the maracuja cheesecake. And
man!
And we do by order make the whole cake if anybody's ever interested.
Yeah.
Because we sell the slices at the market and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating story, you know, and I know that whether you're a person of faith or not, you have to have a respect for the vision that this couple had, and the fact that they stuck to it. I'm sure there was a lot of adversity.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot I want to give up, but to stick to it and to make it into something that is what it is that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, they're very successful in the whole picture.
Yeah, cool. All right. We got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I know that you're also your second hat is through the ACCB, who's a sponsor of this show, by the way, along with Big Daddy's Grill. And we had Mona and Jerry on last week, and there was some information that Jerry didn't have as of yet. There were some details, so I'm glad we're going to be able to get to this. But let's, if you don't mind, can we start off with the duck race?
Start off with the duck race?
Yeah, start off with the duck race, because I want to make sure that gets out there.
Okay, so the duck race...
Or else Linda will hurt me.
The duck race is Saturday, August 14th. Okay, that's when they're going to actually run the ducks.
Okay.
So we did this last year.
Sure.
In the rain, not knowing what we were doing.
It turned out great, though.
It was the most screwed up thing that ever happened as far as us operating it, and we made money and everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
So this year we hope to fine tune it.
Yeah.
We learned some good things.
It was still a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
I looked at the pictures and everybody was smiling.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
This time we think it'll even be better. Okay, so this time each duck, there'll be 20 ducks per race.
Right.
Each duck is $10.
Okay.
You get to name your duck, and you get to pick the color of your duck.
So we have colored ducks now.
We have colored ducks. You get to pick the color and the name. Okay? And let's say on the first race you want to buy 5 of the ducks.
Right.
God bless you. You can buy 5. You can buy 20 of them if you want.
Buy all the ducks.
Yeah, and you'll guarantee you're a winner.
Is it right?
Okay?
Yeah.
So each race will be 20 ducks max.
Right.
Maximum. Okay. On that race, the winner of that race gets $50.
Okay.
Okay. Second place on those races, Mona Lisa is making some of her famous chutney.
Anything that Mona Lisa
Yeah.
makes. She brought me
That's
cream
amazing.
cheese mango chutney last week.
Yeah.
And it barely made it home from my car.
Yeah. So
Yeah, delicious.
I mean so that's the second place that you get. Then if we have, let's say we have 4 races,
Yeah.
then those 4 ducks that took first place
Uh-huh.
will run in a final just like last time.
Uh-huh.
And the winner of that one gets $100. On the last race, Mike Halpern was the big winner.
Yeah.
And he won $80. So we've raised that a
Cool.
little bit.
Yeah.
So he won $20. Now they're going to be selling. They've already started selling tickets. And they have a booth at the Tuesday Market.
Which one? Which Tuesday Market?
I know. I'm trying to see here. I think they're at the
Probably Tap Out.
No, I think
No,
they're
the
actually
Feria?
across the street. I think.
Okay. Well, go to
Oh, wait a
both.
minute,
Go to both. Yeah.
Yeah, the duck
You'll
race.
find
The
it.
duck race will be at the Tap Out.
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
The pre-sales. I'm sorry, I thought I had that. I'm not sure, but I know that last week they were at BCP.
Okay, yeah. Well, Mona and Jerry mentioned that the tickets will be available
Right.
at whichever one they are.
Yeah, you'll be
yeah.
able to find them. We have the big ACCB
Yeah.
sign, and so and maybe we'll be at both. I'm not sure, but they're there definitely, and you can pre-buy the ducks. And the day of the event at noon, you can also pre-buy. Homemade chutney. Okay.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, so
God, that was
Saturday the 14th is the actual date. We're attempting, that's why I asked you about the drone. We're
Yeah.
attempting to do what we did last time, to video it to the TVs.
Sure.
And like I said, last time it was a cluster. It was terrible.
yeah.
But we got it on one TV finally, and so we hope to make this one a little bit better. Plus, raise a little bit more money. The money that we raise, there's in our Christmas event last year, and I want to make sure I get this right. They were going up to the Camarca.
Sure,
whatever,
yeah.
So there's some issues about driving up there with the Mensa and all that stuff.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
there's going to be more local kids, I think, that are going to be involved in the receiving of
cool.
the
Yeah.
gifts and this type of stuff. And Linda said that, reminder that Linda is now the new president.
Ah, okay.
She's
all right.
She took over after Chris said he just didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah, well,
he's pretty busy.
it's not that Chris has nothing else to do in his life.
Yeah.
He's very, very
so
busy.
So Linda
yeah.
is the acting president, and this last meeting we had Wednesday was the most people we've had at a meeting in a long time.
Yeah.
We had like 8 new members.
Yeah.
So the membership is really taken off. And the 8 people that signed up are, from what we've seen so far, are go-getters. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you want.
And you know, I'm a member of the ACCB too, and you know, I was a little upset with myself that I couldn't make that meeting. I found myself down in Dolega 20 minutes before the meeting was going to start, and I had about an hour's worth of work ahead of me. So I was like, I guess I'm not making this one. But I know I enjoy going to those meetings, and it's really good when there's new people. You know, when there's new people there, to see the ACCB grow is always a good thing.
Okay. So I'm going to correct myself too as I'm reading this. So the duck race is for the Comarca, and it says it will benefit the indigenous in the Comarca. Food, clothing, school supplies, toys, and games will be distributed to 700 plus underprivileged children.
Nice.
And we're accepting any donations of used children's and babies' clothing, blankets, and shoes, as well as cash at the event. And also this year, one thing we changed, there's no entrance fee.
Oh, okay.
That got all screwed up last time too. So there's no entrance fee. Just come and have a good time. Some of the other things that again, the membership was the best meeting we've had in a long time. Last week at Trivia was the most attendance we've had since before COVID started.
Sure.
The week before, Bingo was the largest crowd we've had since COVID started. So the good news is people are getting vaccinated. They're coming out. They're trying to be social.
Yeah.
Coming out. So we're also excited about having some special events, which we're not sure exactly what special events yet, at the new Tap Out Theater.
Yeah.
You know, Chris has got it gutted.
Yeah.
And the floor is done, and they still. So as soon as it's done, then we're going to start sponsoring some different events.
Yeah.
Whatever the different events might be. We're going to try to do our poker run again that we haven't done in a couple of years. For our Christmas party, we're going to try to do whatever we can do with Mensa rules, and we feed the police department. We couldn't do it last year.
Yeah.
So hot dogs and stuff, they wouldn't let us.
Yeah.
So again, it's still waiting to.
Well, yeah,
you're
dealing with the bureaucracy. I don't care what country you're in.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
You know.
So we're still not 100% sure of what we're going to do there or not do there.
Yeah. This poker run. How does that work? Because I only ask because I rode motorcycles my whole life, and I've been on I don't know how many poker runs. It means something different. So because I think in my mind, is get on a bike and you do your thing. Obviously, probably not the same thing. So how does that work?
And I hate to admit it, the poker run has not been done since I've been a member, and I don't know.
Okay, I know. It's just it's one of those just out there questions.
I don't know the answer, and I don't want to lie to you.
No, that's cool.
I don't mind lying to you.
Well, I know. To me personally, I know.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out because there's a lot of us here who have at one point or another done some sort of a charity event, like a poker run. Sometimes they call them bar crawl. Something in New York City, we had a deli crawl, which is great because we started at the old Carnegie Deli. And we ended up uptown in Harlem. And by the time we got up there, everybody needed a nap.
Yeah.
But, it'll be interesting. Maybe the next ACCB show, we do one a month here.
Because I said that was done before my time, and I just don't have the answer.
That'll be cool.
I don't know. And we're still one of the largest charities, and we still give money to other charities.
Yeah, sure.
We were going to give another $1,000 with Dr. Dan Davis to take food up, but he told us to hold off for another month or so for some reason. Something was going on, and the families were okay at this point. So because we committed to 3 $1,000 donations, and we already did the first one.
Cool.
And the only reason we haven't done the second one is he's asked us to hold off a little bit on it.
And I understand, and I know there's no details about this yet because it's just basically still in the hey, we'd like to do this stage, but a joint event between the two largest charities here, which is the ACCB and the Rotary Club, which would be interesting to see because they're both. I'm with both of them, and I know what both of them do, and I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if you guys just got together and did something huge. But yeah, you know, but I've been told now. That came from Chris. You know, that there have been other things that are in the works that there are no details for yet, or hasn't been put together yet. But it's always the ACCB is always there. You know, when there's something comes up, it's like, well, let's do this, or here's a need over here. Let's put this together. I know Joe and Linda have put a lot of their energy and their time and their dedication into it. I know you have too.
And we have one more thing that just started going this week, and it's probably 85% done. And the rabbi's wife, Hannah, did this all on her own. There are some very large retailers in Panama City, clothing retailers,
Right.
that they, put out their clothes. Then they have a sale if they don't sell it during the season.
Right, yeah.
Then they take it, they try to move it.
Sure.
And at the very end, they give it to charity for a donation to use as a business write-off.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we are supposed to, within the next few weeks, receive approximately 80 women's jackets
Wow.
to be used by us in either a way to raise money to give to the charities, or if somebody needs the jackets.
Well, sure, yeah.
The problem is like with the indigenous, they don't really wear jackets. They wear their
But it does gets
cold.
It gets cold up there. I know. I've talked to.
Have you ever seen them with overcoats and stuff? I don't.
No, I have surprisingly. I have seen a lot of Panamanians, not the indigenous, just your everyday citizens in town here, with parkas on and hats and gloves, and when it's in the upper 60s.
Right.
When we're from, that's like a heat wave.
Yeah. So we're waiting to see exactly what we get.
Yeah.
Because then we can make the decision: can we make more money selling that stuff at an auction, or
and giving the money,
and giving them, to the gringos or whoever, and give the money to them to use,
Sure.
or how should we proceed?
Yeah.
But that's another great avenue that that we're all working on.
Well, the auction is probably not a bad idea at all. Because I haven't, I've spent quite a bit of time in the Comarca up here over the last couple of years or so, and no, I don't recall ever seeing anyone up there wearing a jacket.
That's what somebody told
or
us.
a coat.
Yeah.
The occasional, maybe a cardigan if it's really cold, but no, I've never seen them wear any of that.
They wear their traditional clothes, and that's it. Yeah.
And I know you've got a lot of expats here, a lot of foreigners here from the Mediterranean and from other warm climate countries that come up here in Boquete, and they're freezing all the time. So I have seen expats wearing overcoats here.
Well, and, for example, the kids that work in the bakery, they don't want to go from hot to cold.
Sure.
They keep doing that. So they're working up with ovens all day long.
Yeah.
So when they leave work, they got their hoods up,
Yeah.
they're bundled up.
Yeah.
I'm sweating just from watching them walk out the door.
I sweat watching other people work.
Yeah, they don't want to, go from one extreme to the other, because that's how they get sick.
So okay, so it might actually work better to like I said, I have no part in this. To sell the coats, especially if the ACCB is selling them for charity. Right.
That's what I said. Our next step is see what we get.
Yeah.
And then we'll make some hopefully good decisions on how to move them.
Well, there's no shortage of ingenuity in the ACCB. I mean, every time. But even before I was a member, I know people in the ACCB, and talking to Linda and Joe. I've had Joe's been on the show 2-3 times. Still have to get Linda on the show. We need to kidnap her and strap her down to that chair. But it's always, we have an idea, and then the next time I talk to them, there's a plan already. So it's I don't want to say it's overcoming adversity, but there are always things that come up. Monkey wrenches get thrown into the mix, but it is always that let's push forward, and next thing you know, there's an event, and then there's money raised, and then there's needy people that get those needs met, and it's
kind of funny that with the COVID, that the main people in ACCB that do all the stuff, it bothered them, I think, more that they couldn't put on the event than the people saying we can't go to the event.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way our members are.
Yeah, no,
They want to do it so bad that they were more aggravated than the people that said, I'm not coming.
Well, you get this this desire, the need, the desire to help people. That's the sense of altruism. It's sometimes it's hard to say. Who gets the better blessing, the people who are helping or the people who are being helped.
Yeah.
And I know that the events that I've had time to be involved in, that's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling knowing you're doing something for somebody else, and it's not ego driven. It's not you're not trying to get pats on the back. A lot of the people that do things within the ACCB, they're like, I don't want my name on this. You put it for the ACCB. You don't have to single me out. It's just that desire, the innate desire, many of us have to help people. Just it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's just simple, right? Just to help people. Yeah. So I could see, you get all excited about doing this event. You know that there's people that are going to be helped, and then someone comes in and shuts you down. You're like, oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really bothers you.
Yeah. We got. Looks like we got about 3-4 minutes left. Did you want to recap? Do some recap?
Yeah, I wanted to tell a little story too.
Tell your story, man.
First of all, have you seen the movie Fiddler on the Roof?
Many times.
So the line where if I was a rich man, I would sit in the synagogue and pray several hours every day with the learned men. That was my week.
That was your week.
Because I got to sit and pray and learn with these young men for 6-7 hours a day, 5 days, and and I kept singing the songs from the movie, and they were making fun of me. So when you said something,
you should be used to that by now.
Yeah. So when you said something about gefilte fish, which Khan actually served last week, because most of these kids are Ashkenazi from the States or whatever, that they're used to having gefilte fish, where the Sephardim don't have that as much. So. Yeah. I told the story, and there's actually two. We lived in a duplex. My family on one side and my grandmother on the other.
Sure.
And my grandmother had the first kosher restaurant in Denver, Colorado in 1920s.
Oh, wow.
She raised 7 kids in it by herself, because my grandfather died when my dad was 2.
Wow, yeah.
So on Thursdays, you could not use the bathtub at my grandmother's house. Because the carp were swimming. She would bring them home.
I've just got a mental picture of that.
She would bring them home and let them soak in the bathtub alive for 2 days to clean them.
Sure.
And then on Friday, every single Friday, she'd make a gefilte fish. She'd take a club and
you hit them,
knock them unconscious and start cutting. So Thursday was you didn't go into the bathroom.
Just stay away.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then real quick, the other one was my grandmother lost her sense of smell as she got older. And one day my mother walked into her house and said, Mike, what stinks? And my grandmother said, I don't know. My mother started walking around the house, opened the refrigerator, and almost passed out. And my mother said, it's this carp. It's a newspaper. Where did you get this? And she said, Mark brought it to me. He was fishing at Sloan's Lake. We lived 2 blocks from the lake, I'm 7 years old, 8 years old. I wasn't allowed to go near the lake. So she said, Mark doesn't fish. Mark's not even allowed at the lake. So I come home from school.
Oh, no.
My mother said, where'd you get that fish? I said, at the lake. What are you doing? Well, we went, She says, well, how did you get it? I said, it was laying there on this side. It was the most beautiful thing you've seen.
He brought a dead
I got some newspaper, wrapped it up. I'm thinking that I'm giving my grandmother the greatest prize
Oh, my
ever
gosh.
because it's a dead fish. Well, the moral of the story is it's a good thing my mother smelled it before my grandmother cooked it, because we'd all be dead.
We'd all be dead, yeah.
And,
oh, my gosh.
And 20 years later, I actually won a contest on the radio about fish stories. Remember they used to have stories?
Yeah.
You could call in on different contests.
Yeah.
I won first prize on fish story.
That's got to be the best roadkill story, and it's not even roadkill, but that type of thing.
And
you
I
find
thought
that
I was being the greatest grandson that there ever was, because I brought her a fish that was bigger than most of the ones in her bathtub.
Oh my gosh!
So
I could just
me and gefilte fish go back a ways.
Yeah, I and you know what? The first time I ate it, like I said earlier, I was expecting something that wasn't going to be pleasant, and I was surprised.
It's delicious.
You know, I love it. I do. But you know, it's 11 o'clock, the top of the hour. We've run out of time, Mark. So yeah, sorry about that. I know you weren't kidding earlier when you said we need 4 hours. I know you got some more stuff, but things being as they are, we have to close the show, and I really want to thank you. Short notice. You're the king of short notice, man. 6 o'clock last night. Hey, Mark, I don't have a guest. Yeah, be there. Yeah, so thank you for bailing me out. We owe you one here at Boquete Now Talk Radio. So before Bolivar cuts me off, I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. You've been listening to Boquete Now Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM, sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill and the ACC Boquete. We will see you next Friday at 10 o'clock a.m.